Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. But if you're new here, thank you for joining us. So today I'm going to be doing closure. I'm going to teach you how to do a closure wig, how to do a closure wig. So we're going to be using an old closure. So yeah, we're using an old closure and old bundles of hair. So I previously washed these bundles just to get rid of the products that have been used on it previously. So here it is. I've sun dried it, and this is what the closure looks like. You can see it's an old closure. The excess lace in front is no longer there because, like I said, it's an old closure, and this is what it looks like. So we're gonna try and make this into a brand new wig. So first thing I like to do, as always, is try to measure the cap. So my client had told me how she wanted it to fit on her head. So I'm just trying to see the size of the cap, and it looks like it's about an inch, just like off an inch longer than what she would want. So I'm just slightly just reducing the size of the cap. I'm not doing too much here, just slightly. It's shy of an inch, and I'm just trying to do as little as I can, not doing too much because she actually has a large head. So I'm just stitching out just a little bit. Like I said, you want to always make sure it's not, some caps you have to sew a lot, you have to reduce a lot, but for this one I'm reducing just little. You see what I'm doing? Just little. So after I've done that and I'm satisfied with what I've done, we're going to go ahead and sew on the closure onto the mesh cap. So here I'm brushing the closure just to make sure that it's well brushed out and everything. So you're going to try and place the closure at the middle. Make sure that it's at the middle. Make sure your mesh cap is sitting at the middle of the head, and make sure that you're placing your closure at the middle. So you see what I'm doing? When you're going to use your T-pins to help you hold it in front. I know you don't have the excess lace in front to place it in you, so you're going to use the side of the closure. So I punched the T-pins on the side of the closure, and I did the same thing to the back. Just try to spread it out to make sure that, because I said it's an old closure, so definitely it must have from wash and sewing it previously, it was already like shrinking. So I just tried to pull it out and make sure that it's well placed on the mesh cap. I straighten it out. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just sewing the closure onto the mesh cap one stitch at a time. You just want to sew it gently and neatly. So I'm just sewing. You know how you just want to go from one end to the other and sew it really neat. So that's what I'm just doing, carefully sewing and sewing on the closure onto the mesh cap. So remember I said that I straightened it out. I stretched. Okay, that's the word I was looking for. I stretched it out. You want to stretch it out because I said, because it's an old closure, from wear and from washing and everything, the lace actually shrunk. So you want to make sure that you stretch it out to its full capacity. So that's what I've done, and I use the T-pins to hold it down, and I'm just sewing, and I've sewed it. I'm done sewing here. And you can see how neat it is. I've sewed it. I made sure that I made a very clean stitch. You can see how neat it is. I've sewed it neatly on top of the mesh cap. Yeah, this is just what it should look like. This is what your stitches should look like. You see how clean and neat and tight it is. That's what we're working with. So, and you see how the front, you want to make sure that you push the closure slightly to the front of the mesh cap so that it doesn't pull back when you're sewing. So the next thing I like to do is, as usual, give myself a guideline to sew my tracks on. I've gone an inch, I've measured an inch off my tape measure onto the lipstick. Don't worry about the error on the left side. It's okay to make mistakes, guys. Everybody makes mistakes. So I realized that I had made a mistake while drawing the guideline on the left side, and I just went and corrected it. You don't have to worry about, oh, won't the white chalk stay? Won't it stain on the cap? No, it won't. It's just chalk. It would dust off by itself soon enough. So it's okay to make mistakes. Just the thing is, just when you make mistakes, make sure that you go back and correct your mistakes. So I've corrected my own mistakes, and I know that I know the guideline I'm supposed to follow right now. So it doesn't really matter what it looks like right now. I'm going to make sure to follow the right guideline, and the chalk will definitely dust off the mesh cap, it won't be like that. So I'm just sewing. So guys, for this wig, like I said, is an old wig that I've taken down and I'm remaking. So you're going to see that there's a lot of short, you see, I'm joining everything that I can because I'm working on, what's that word? I need to make sure that the bundles that I have is enough for the wig. So this time around, we're not turning anything. You know, when we get to the side of one wig, how I turn and say, oh, don't cut your bundles. You can turn and just have a straight. No, guys, this time around, every weave matters. I need every inch, every bundle that I can get to sew on this week. So I'm not going to be turning on the side. I'm cutting. When I sew from one side to the other, I cut off and then come to the top, just to make sure that I maximize the bundles that I have and I do not waste anything. Do you understand? So yeah, you can cut because it's an old wig, and I'm joining bundles as well because they've cut it because it's an old bundle. Like I said, they've done it in a week before and it was cut. So I'm just making sure that I'm joining. You see, I'm cutting at the end. Usually I'll just turn and take it up. But over here, we're cutting. I'm cutting from one end to the other. I'm making sure that I cut the bundle because I want to optimize. I want to use it all of the bundles that I can get my hands on. I want to use all of it. So you see how I'm just sewing, how my stitches are so neat. It's not so obvious that I'm joining bundles or I'm working with an old wig. You want to make sure that once you stretch your cap out well on your mannequin head and on your canvas head, and your cap is all stretched out, you have your guideline, you're sewing right, you're sewing tight, your wig is your stitches are gonna stay beautiful on your mesh cap. You see how neat and flat. If you look at my stitches, you'll see how neat and flat they're looking. It doesn't even look like I'm joining bundles. It doesn't look like I'm using an old hair. It looks really nice. You see how beautiful, neat it is. So I'm just joining. When you want to join an extra bundle to a previous one that just finished, just make sure that you go as close as possible. Can you see, guys? I just joined there, but it's not even showing that I joined. You just want to make sure that you're close to the one that just finished. The new hair that you're attaching to the one that finished is as close as possible. And make sure that when you're getting a needle through the new bundle you're attaching, start from on top of the stitch on the weft. Don't go under. When I say we start from on top of the weft and take it through the mesh cap, that's how we start. Then when you start sewing, you can now go under the hair. But when you're joining a new bundle, make sure that you join it from on top of the weft so that it can hold tightly down on top of the mesh cap. That's just what I'm doing. From the beginning, you want to start on top of the weft. That's that hard part of the weft. You want to run your needle through it and attach to your mesh cap. So when you've done like 2-3 knots, you can now continue going from under the weave to the mesh cap. It doesn't have to be on top of the hard part of the weft. So you're just going to sew like this. So I'm finally at the last line. I'm just sewing. Make sure you go as close as possible to the closure. I'm going as close as possible to the closure so that everything sits flat on the mesh cap. I'm sewing so closely to the closure. You just want to sew. Remember, start off by sewing from on top of the hard part of the weft. Run your needle through that part onto the mesh cap. Then when you've done like 2-3 knots, 2 knots is just fine. When you've done like 2 knots, you can now continue going from under the hair. So that's what I'm just doing right here. I'm joining all the hairs. You see, I'm joining hairs and I'm just making sure that I sew it neatly and tightly on top of the mesh cap. That's what I'm doing. You see how close this last track is to the closure. That's how you want to get it close enough to the closure to make sure that everything is just so neat and beautiful. So I'm done sewing right now, guys, and I'm just going to take out my knots on the closure and brushing out on the hair. I've done that, and the next thing I'm going to do is try and cut off the black cap under the lace of the closure. So you just want to do that gently. You don't want to leave the black cap under the lace of the closure. You want to cut it off. So what I just like to do is make sure that you just go close enough to the stitch, not so close, not so far. Just cut out that part of the black cap. You see that part area, just cut it out so that the closure can show very well. And that's it today, guys. I hope that you enjoy watching this video. Please do like, subscribe, and share to your friends and family. Next, I'll be showing you how to style this wig. I went ahead and styled this wig. I'm going to do a follow-up video and show you how I styled it. Thank you for watching.